So I don't know exactly what the rundown for this is. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. Here, let me share screen. Let me share screen. Okay, so now I see what we're going with here. Now I understand a little bit better. Okay, so I was told that it's I was told that it's a little bit different from normal power scaling. Mario Rivera is pointing out a good point. How can 1 billion dugongs lose? I feel like they could, right? Like we'll get to it when we get to it. Let's take this a little bit seriously, right? Batman, even the anime version. That's our first lineup. Batman anime version versus 5 Buster Calls. Even in the anime version, there's no way, like, 5 Buster Calls would definitely take this, right? 5 Vice Admirals, come on now. Come on now. Like, I think that's no question. We're good. All right, these are the preliminary rounds. This stuff should be easy. Foxy versus Usopp with prep. Okay, if we're being serious here, yeah, we're gonna be serious here. Like, I'm taking Usopp with prep time, and I think Usopp with prep time is going pretty far in this. We are at the 1 billion Kung Fu Dugongs point. Shit. We are at the 1 billion Kung Fu Dugongs point. I was worried about this. How do I scale? Okay, how do I scale these Dugongs? We know a single Dugong is stronger than Usopp pre-time skip, but weaker than Luffy pre-time skip. How do I scale these Kung Fu Dugongs are one of my favorite parts of Alabasta. Alabasta, I think it had just the right amount of random quirky side shit thrown in. I put the okay, time out. The animals of Alabasta are actually the funniest. Hold on. I think it's like, I feel like it's 181? Am I crazy? Okay, the animals of Alabasta. I think that this shit was a really fun, like, everybody helped. Okay, hold on. Kung Fu Dugongs helped them. This random crab helped them. The crab was running on water for a second. And then the crab can't run on water. Then I don't know what the fuck this shit is. But then it gets beat up by who? The Kung Fu Dugongs. This is just such a wild roller coaster ride of a chapter. It was as though Oda was just like, you know what? They're all the way here in Rain Base, and they need to somehow get to Alabasta in a like record time. I just gotta make some shit happen. So I don't know if you guys remember how they met this crab. It's because the camel that they befriended in the desert was friends with this crab, and the crab was also a pervert, so he was willing to ride them over to Alabasta because he saw Nami's outfit. So then the pervert camel, helped them out with hooking them up with the crab pervert. And then the crab pervert just got them back to the Kung Fu Dugongs, who just like dragged them all the way over to the last part of it. And then I think we get then to top it off, we get this, which is just it's just the fucking Power Ranger squad of more super spotted build ducks. They're also the fastest troop in Alabasta. I love their designs too. I feel like their designs. Do their designs line up with the Straw Hats? Am I crazy here? I don't think so. But like, look at this. Why does he have? Who is this guy?
Boy, if you don't.
Why does he have this? I don't know. This was a fucking acid trip of a chapter. If you read it from start to finish, it's just really bizarre. Shiki with Haki versus Jack with a named attack. Do you remember when Jack was announcing like he's gonna attack the ship with Doflamingo on it, like with Fujitora and Sengoku? We were excited for Jack. Jack seemed like now it's ludicrous to think that Jack even thinks that he. I wouldn't throw him at a ship with just Suru on it. You know, like what the. I really don't know what happened there exactly, but the Jack situation was just bizarre. The most arbitrary hype ever given to a character. I'm reading things out loud like it's this. Bartolomeo versus Douglas Bullet. Let's move this along. I don't even know. See, I watched Film Z. So I know how strong Bullet is. Perona versus Wapple. We got Perona. Perona's about to go far in this tournament. Brule versus Beppo. I got Beppo, Sulong form. Pell versus Ryuma Alive. I got Ryuma. Vegapunk's Muggy Dama. What? What the hell is this? Hawkins with Yu-Gi-Oh deck? That's gonna go far. Hawkins with Yu-Gi-Oh deck is gonna go far. Pluton versus Enel with Armament Hockey. That's interesting. Well, Pluton's just a boat, so I'm gonna roll with Enel. Buster. Okay, this is actually tricky. I don't know who would win this because Usopp with prep time is not the same person. It's night and day. Because if you remember, Usopp without prep, here's the gap, right? Pre-time skip. Usopp without prep time basically got stomped by random muggers on the street. It wasn't really close. He just got destroyed. He got stomped by random muggers on the street. Then, like 5 chapters later, 10 chapters later, with prep time, he gives Luffy a good ass fight. Like a good fight. Like Luffy did not walk out of that fight unscathed. And this, like at this point in time, the gap, like how strong Luffy is, Luffy just defeated Crocodile. He went up to heaven, defeated God, right? Luffy at this point in time can punch through like hundreds of feet of bedrock or something like that and create a mini earthquake with his bare fists. He can one-shot characters like Bellamy, like super, like extremely strong rookies and things like that. Luffy at that point in time was extremely strong compared to Usopp, right? So I don't know. I feel like Usopp with prep time has a good shot at, like, I'm saying if you want to scale relatively speaking, right? So Usopp back then to pre-TS Luffy, I'd say the gap is similar to Usopp right now versus 5 Vice Admirals plus change. But that gap is clearly not insurmountable for Usopp. I'm going to go with Usopp with prep time. Douglas Bullet versus Perona. We know that Haki does a lot against this type of thing, right? So we can assume now that Haki would make it not work for ghosts and stuff like that. Beppo in Sulong mode versus Ryuma alive. I'm gonna keep it serious here. I'm gonna say Ryuma. Let's keep it serious. Let's see what's going on. Hawkins with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is my pick to take it all the way. People don't understand. People don't understand. Okay, in card games, right? If you're playing competitive card games, so much of it comes down to what your opening hand is, whether you brick or don't brick, okay? Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game where you can create decks that are so consistent. At this point in time, you can create decks that are so consistent that you can get close to your ideal opening hand every time because cards search for other cards and things like that. I honestly, if Hawkins had a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, that means that he doesn't have to do this bullshit carrot card stuff where he like, the way Hawkins fights is so fucking frustrating. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think I've talked about this before, but it actually makes me so upset because the potential was so high. Okay, in theory, right? So you've got a character that, based on the cards that they draw, they can get really good effects or something, right? So in theory, the character that you're writing is something of an RNG god, where yeah, sometimes they're gonna brick, but sometimes they get cards that have really good effects, and maybe those effects stack on other effects, and then suddenly you can spiral into drawing a really good card or something like that. And this card puts you well above your normal means in terms of how you are as a fighter, right? That's what you kind of think of when we got Hawkins' ability. But the way Hawkins' ability actually turns out it uses is that Hawkins, he needs to draw the correct cards just to do basic shit. And if he draws everything that he would really like to draw, then he's basically a normal fighter. Okay, it's like he needs to draw cards just to do things that other people can normally do. So it's more of a disability than anything else, right? It's more so like he's a handicapped fighter than a fighter with like some insane RNG potential. So what I mean by that is kind of, he draws a card, and this card allows him to summon this giant monster thing, right? Cool. But he's not allowed to use said monster thing unless he draws some other card that lets him do it, right? So it's kind of like he's not allowed to fight unless through sheer chance he draws something that allows him to fight. To me, that's a disability. That's like a handicapped person. No offense to handicapped people, but you guys understand what I think you guys get what I'm getting at here, right? So, for example, the Straw Hats try and run away from him, right? I think it's chapter 912 or something. They're trying to run away from him. They run off on that dog sheep thing that Tama had, right? They're running away. So for the average fighter, you would just run after them, right? You would chase after them. If it was one of the Toby Ropo or the Calamities or something, you would just chase after him. Hawkins can't actually chase after them. He needs to draw a card that allows him to chase after them. Again, this seems like a disability. It seems like he needs to draw cards in order to be able to do things that a normal person can do. I just don't understand it. I really don't understand. I don't understand what Oda was going for there exactly. And then if he gets all of his cards properly, right? One of his cards, by the way, was a bad luck card that he drew over the course of that, which was like something reversed. He was like, fuck, this means that they're going to get assistance from an outside source. So not only does he need to draw proper cards, like through sheer chance, or draw the proper cards that will allow him to function as a normal fighter, there's also a chance that he draws cards that just screws him over and helps the opponent for no reason, right? So that's weird to me. And so the monster, the voodoo doll, chases after the Straw Hats. It's close to getting them. It's very close to getting them. And basically, this is what we see in that chapter of the voodoo doll fighting the Kamainu and the Luffy, Zoro, etc. That's basically Hawkins' deck functioning at peak performance, right? That's the best that we've seen out of his engine, right? He's gotten all of the cards he wants. He got to summon the monster doll. He got the monster doll to even chase after them, which apparently is not a normal function of it. So everything's working perfectly, and the monster doll tries to attack him, and then the monster doll just loses. So I will never understand what the point of Hawkins' abilities were. It was basically like Oda was like, what if I create a character who's a semi-competent fighter, but if he draws bad cards, that he's just a bad fighter? I don't get it. But with a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, with the stuff that we've got going on nowadays, like pendulums and link summoning and everything like that, Hawkins is going to be terrifying. I think it's over. I think it's over for the Dugongs, because think about it like this. You're facing this guy Hawkins, right? You're facing this guy Hawkins. You're 999 million of you. So one of you declares an attack. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. I think that it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Hawkins with the Yu-Gi-Oh deck would be the strongest in the verse. This was a fucking acid trip of a chapter.